Good evening, ACA members. My name is Candace Smith, and I am the founder and director of the Potter's House, a nonprofit activist and advocacy organization aimed at the improvement of social injustices and human rights issues. Recently, my colleagues and I have been conducting some research on the correlation between race and incarceration. The facts that we have uncovered are highly disturbing. Today, I would like to inform you that the racial and social inequalities do exist within our massive criminal justice system. Mass incarceration has become the new Jim Crow era of our time. As the prison population bursts with over 1 million inmates, 59% of those inmates are African American. It is time that we examine this failed system of mass incarceration and ask ourselves, should we continue to utilize incarceration as our go-to form of punishment in the U.S.? Personally, I do not support mass incarceration as an effort to inflict punishment on all people who commit a crime. I feel that it is not doled out fairly and it is not effective at all. I do feel that there are certain crimes that meets the justification of punishment, and these violent offenders, no matter what race, deserves incarceration. Incarceration was created to serve 4 justifications for punishment that are intended to be met. Retribution is an act of moral vengeance by which society makes the offender suffer as much as the suffering caused by the crime in which they committed. In some of the old Western movies, they will use the term an eye for an eye. Deterrence is an attempt to discourage criminality through the use of punishment. It makes people consider the reality of the punishment for committing a crime. Rehabilitation is meant to reform the offender in order to prevent later offenses from occurring. Societal protection renders the offender incapable of committing future offenses through the imprisonment of the offender. As I previously stated, there is a need for incarceration, as there are some very bad people that do live amongst us who commit heinous crimes against other people. These are the people, no matter what race, ethnic background, and social class, that deserve to be incarcerated for the crimes they commit. However, research has shown that there is far more people incarcerated for nonviolent crimes, such as drug offenses and crimes against property, than there are for crimes against people. Research has also shown that the arrest rates are higher for minorities such as African Americans and citizens of low social class. These facts make you consider who and what behaviors our society defines as deviant, and why a certain race of people and social class are more likely to be defined as deviant. It is because of the capitalist society that we live in. Power has a starring role in this determining factor. Deviance is political. People with little power have little control over the laws and setting the norms for our society. Our society is set up for laws to protect the interests of the powerful members. If we could do away with this social inequality, then we would see some low levels of deviant behavior diminish. When discussing the issue of mass incarceration, it would be hard not to consider the racial and social inequalities that are closely related to the large number of minorities who are incarcerated. The United States of America has only 4% of the world's population residing within our 50 states, yet more than 25% of our population are incarcerated. This means that 1 out of 100,000 people are facing some kind of form of incarceration. Our state, federal, private, and local jails houses about 1,574,000 people. African Americans represent 59% of this incarcerated population. This makes race and social class an important component of this discussion. Why? Simply put, because of the vicious cycle of prejudice and discrimination that African Americans and other minority groups face. White police are more likely to arrest African Americans because of prejudice. Minorities are discriminated against because of race, ethnicity, and social class. Our culture in the U.S. tends to believe that being white means that you are privileged. Having these privileges means that you are least likely to be racial profiled and pulled over by cops. You are assumed to be educated and of high social class. Because of these beliefs, our prisons and jails are full of men, African American men, that were incarcerated on drug charges and street crimes. Almost all of them come from lower class America, where they were sold the American dream of wealth and nice things, but was faced with the lack of opportunity, faced with little access for higher education, faced with little means of ever achieving the American dream. Yes, there are some who choose a different path and against all odds are able to escape the street life. But the majority succumb to the labeling and stereotypes that plagues the lower class. Growing up in inner cities where the culture norms are different from people who reside in suburban neighborhoods, the lower class has little social power and have to conform to the norms that protect the interests of powerful people. Our capitalist society is at work right here in our faces. So truly is the black man that was arrested for drugs and given a sentence longer than a convicted child rapist fair. No, it is not. It was his race and social class that played a part in his sentencing. Poor people can't afford proper representation. Instead, their cases are handed to overworked and underpaid public defenders who tell them to take a plea bargain. Being African American in a lower class neighborhood, you are more likely to be arrested over your white counterpart. Just because the police tend to believe, based off the color of your skin, that you are more likely to commit a crime. Based off the color of your skin, you are more likely to experience racial profiling and labeling. We continue to ignore these facts, or we can stand against a system of prejudice and ask ourselves, should this system of mass incarceration continue to prevail? No, it should not. The system has to come to an end and should not allowed to continue because it's not effective. The negative effects of this failed system is very noticeable. Single mother families are a negative result of this system. Fathers are taken away from their families and subjected to what is supposed to be rehabilitation, but is truly punishment for nonviolent crimes. The large number of African American men that are incarcerated takes men out of the community, leaving the number of available men for dating and marriage at an all-time low. Another negative effect of incarceration is the emotional and psychological issues that result from limited contact with family. Inmates that are released have to go through the mental challenge of deinstitutionalizing themselves. What about the amount of money that is shelled out to house inmates for the stint of their incarceration? The annual average taxpayer cost in these states was about $31,286 per inmate. New York State was the most expensive, with the average cost of $60,000 per prison inmate a year. Inmates have to come home and readjust to a society that has outlawed them and subjected them to discrimination. The only positive effect of this system is the fact that people who commit crimes against people are locked away and not allowed to hurt anyone else. I will commend the system for taking truly dangerous criminals off the streets, but I will not commend it for locking away husbands, sons, fathers, mothers, sisters, and daughters for committing small petty street crimes and sentencing them to do hard time as if they were child rapists or murderers. Racial and social prejudice and a capitalist society are the reason that this system is not doled out fairly. How can it be effective if it's not fair? How can justice be truly served if the system is broken so badly? In conclusion, lawmakers should truly consider the dire consequences to mass incarceration. They should take the blinders off and see that it is not doled out fairly. When you have a white man who have stolen the life savings of hardworking people getting a slap on the wrist compared to a black man arrested for having pot in his possession and gets locked away and his entire family feel the effects. It's sad to say that even in the age of color blindness, our criminal justice system is not colorblind. Our criminal justice system sees only 3 colors: black, brown, and green. Thank you, ACA members, and have a great day.